So we need to make what's called a Poolish if we're going to use the Poolish method to make bread. A Poolish is just another word for a pre-ferment or a leaven or levain in French. And so what we're going to do is mix together equal quantities of flour and water. And in this case 150 grams of each. And then I'm going to put in about just a half a teaspoon of yeast. A Poolish uses yeast, but what you're doing effectively is giving the yeast a huge feed. The flour is going to become a beautifully it's a bubbly sort of proving engine, really. So I'm mixing it up so you get everything mixed together nicely, and it should be a fairly loose mix. And then that just gets left. Now if you're doing this at night, you would leave it overnight and then you could start using it in the morning. And what I'll do is I'll put a shower cap on this. Just keeps it from getting dry. And that's the Poolish started. So, good morning. After about 8 hours, you can see the transformation. And the Poolish is ready to be used. Right, the Poolish is ready, nice and bubbly and ready to go. So I need to measure out flour. I'm going to do 2 loaves worth. And it'll be 800 grams altogether. So if you wanted to do a wholemeal loaf, never use just wholemeal flour. So mix it with white flour. There's much more gluten in white flour, so your loaf will be looser. The dough will be a much more extensible dough with a mix. So I do a 50-50 wholemeal to white mix. Even if you do a 30 to 70 wholemeal to white mix, your loaf is still going to look like a brown loaf. So you can experiment with that. So now the water. So for a 60% hydration on the loaf, so what we're doing is we're measuring 480 grams of water, which is 60% of 800. There we are. And then what I'll do as well is mix the Poolish in at the same time. So what you have is this hotbed of yeasty activity, which is going to start working on the bulk flour and water mix. So now you can just get your hands in and just give it a mix, and you'll get a pretty sort of shaggy mess. You see what's happening there? But you want to get all that flour incorporated and the Poolish mix well and truly mixed in with the bulk flour and water. And it'll start to come together. Get all the little bits off the bottom of the bowl. And all little bits off your hand too, obviously. I might edit this bit out, or not. So, you can see now I've got a pretty shaggy mess. If you vigorously sort of manipulate it like this, it will tend to, you can simulate a food mixer. You could do this in a food mixer, but it's always nice to do it by hand. And we'll just finish up there. Now, you don't have to knead, this is a no-knead recipe, so you just have to leave it at this stage. Put the shower cap back on, and we're going to leave it for an hour or two to autolyse. Autolyse is the process whereby all the moisture is absorbed by the flour, and when you come back to it, it will have settled a bit. The gluten already starts to develop, and we can then add the salt. By not adding the salt to start with, we're giving the Poolish a chance to get to work, because salt does actually retard it slightly. Okay, the dough's been sitting for a couple of hours. It's more extensible, it's quite stretchy now, the gluten's developing. I haven't done any kneading at all. What I'm going to do is take it out of the bowl and onto the counter. It's sticky-ish, but it's not too bad. And I want to add the salt now, okay, so I'm stretching it out. And I've weighed 20 grams of salt. This was ground in a mortar and pestle, because it's sea salt, it's quite lumpy. You want it to be quite fine so that it dissolves easier. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the dough. And then using some water, just sort of wet it a bit to let it dissolve. And then just fold it in. It's a bit messy, but that's all right. I just want to keep sort of squeezing it and folding it like this, mopping up any bits of salt on the counter. And you want to get that salt distributed evenly through the whole lot. It's really important to use salt in bread. It tastes horrendously plain, and well, it is pretty tasteless without it. But salt is a retardant when it comes to the yeast development, improving. But it's not a bad thing. It tightens the dough up. So I've mixed it in. I'm just going to form it a little bit into a sort of a ball shape by pulling it towards me. And then I'm going to pop it in a clean bowl. You don't have to pop it in a clean bowl, I'll just do that. And then put the shower cap back on. And then we'll leave it for another hour or so and come back to it. Okay, the dough's had a bit of resting. It's already looking nice and smooth. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate how I do the equivalent to kneading. It's sort of stretch and fold, really, and you only do it maybe 4 or 5 times. So take it out of the bowl, stretch it out into a sort of rectangle, like that. And then what I do is fold, one fold in, another fold over that one, and fold the end over that, and this end over like that. And what you end up with is a a seam on the underside, and what you can then do is just, it's quite sticky, so it sticks to the counter, and put your fingers underneath the sort of back side of it and pull it towards you, and you'll find that it stretches the surface, and you get this nice ball shape or boule shape. Do that a few times until you've got a nice smooth, and you'll notice as the gluten develops, you'll see strands, but also you get a nice glistening, smooth top to your dough. So, I mean, you know, it's quite nice to fiddle around with dough actually, so you can do this until you feel that you've had enough basically. But we're probably talking in total, you know, each time you do this, a minute maybe. So it's not exactly hard work. And then just pop it back in the bowl and shower cap back on. And we'll repeat that, probably do it 3 more times, all together, maybe 4. See how it, I mean, the dough will rise a bit again. The ambient temperature in the room today is probably 17, 18 degrees Celsius. You could put it in a warmer room if you want to increase the speed of the rise, but it's quite nice. This is quite a longish process. The longer it takes to make the bread, the better the flavour ultimately. So we'll see it again in an hour or 2.